and we're in the booth tonight to do some commentary. And joining me is Paul Reeve.
Thanks,
How you
Rob.
doing, Paul? Having fun?
Yeah, good. Yeah, had a pretty good day.
So you guys might have heard me on the microphone before. I'm Rob Blackstock, one of the Jawa techs. I tend to stay off the mic and stay behind the scenes, but Andrew Simons has left us in the lurch tonight. So we'll get this commentary going on this game and reminisce from the Good Games Cannington store champs that we had. So how was your day on the store champs day, Paul? How'd your games go?
Yeah, pretty good. So went 4-1 in the Swiss. My only loss was to you, um, which was pretty close. But I felt pretty confident in my deck on the day. So hardest matchup was obviously Mill, particularly at that stage. It was still pretty new.
I apologise for playing this deck. It is horrible, Mill. I believe we met I think it was round 3 or 4. I can't remember, but I know that it was.
Might have been round 3, I think.
Yeah.
And we were both 2-0 at the stage.
Yeah, it was a good matchup. I just was not prepared for Mill. My mind was not in the game for that. So you just threw me.
Yeah, well, being an indirect damage deck, it's kind of quite difficult to get through all the health, I thought, in this matchup. So it was easier just to go straight for Mill, essentially, because my deck can mill pretty well as well.
That it certainly can. So we can see here that you've got the Anakin's pod racer down early.
Which is the card I'm looking for against Mill. That and C-3PO are the two big ones.
Yep.
Figure if I can find those earlier, then the matchups is reasonably winnable.
Yeah, just have that toolbox ready to go.
Yeah.
The Force Meditation is just brutal in this deck early. And Yoda and Cassian.
Yeah, particularly sticking on Cassian, because no one really wants to go for him early, because you're either trying to sort of wipe Yoda off the board or get rid of Anakin because he's so low health. But
yeah, nice easy target and shut down that potential pod racer trigger. Not to mention the late game with Cassian having that force misdirection. The Hyperloops guys got it right. Just ramping up into a second chance late game when you're facing damage. It's beautiful setup.
It's real solid. Yeah. It was definitely the deck of the time.
So the thing I found really hard against your deck was, well, the sheer amount of times. I think in both games you just continue to roll the two indirect as we see here on the Jedhas, which just starts edging in that damage and just hitting that mill.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I hit at least like one indirect every turn, which C-3PO helps with a little bit as well.
Oh, okay.
Because I can just change any dice into an indirect and make sure I get the 2 mil.
Right. I don't think we saw that in our games, but I hadn't thought of that. That's fantastic.
So then the other thing that C-3PO is mainly used for is focus. Like if I can actually double focus into whatever I need, particularly late game discard, is really big with long-term plans.
Oh, that long-term plan is just brutal. I'm terrible. I always miss it. I know it's there early, and it just fades away into the background, and then it just hits you for 6.
Yeah, it's probably, particularly in the Mill matchup, I think I probably made the mistake of not getting it to 3. I think once it gets to 3, like any discard then becomes like basically eat your whole hand.
Yep.
Which is obviously super strong. But I guess we both had a reasonable turn one there. Like you managed to mill a bit, but I managed to get rid of a few cards in your hand and a couple off the top.
Traded blows. We're both sitting pretty well on resources as well.
Yeah, which is generally better for you than it is for me. But
because sorry, go on.
Yeah, a lot of my remove was obviously based around damage. Which makes things a little bit more difficult. Like generally the only removal spells I want to play in this match is Entangle to try and get rid of two dice for one card.
Yeah,
trading
sure.
1 for 1 isn't great.
So why the fighter instead of the crate speeder?
It has a discard side.
Ah, right.
So I played a lot of one-offs. Had to play a little bit around Flames of the Past as well. That was a nice roll into double blanks.
Yeah. Bit brutal there.
Yeah, so I played a lot of one-off vehicles to try and play around Flames of the Past. And Fang Fighter's good, like in normal matchups, because it gives me a little bit of speed on the first turn that I play it.
Yep.
But in the mill matchup, it has a discard side. So I was just trying to really maximize the amount of dice that had discards. Obviously, all my characters have discard.
Yeah. So you just another target for what you need in a round or late game closer.
Yeah. So it just helps with that extra bit of discard. Yeah. So you're removing all my indirect sides there.
Oh, it was a struggle.
So the other good thing is if I come against millers, I'm inherently going to do a little bit of damage over the turns, like through the indirect. So if it goes to, if we both mill each other out, I'll generally have the advantage with damage at the end. Which I felt was...
Yeah, completely threw me in our Swiss pairing. Because I wasn't prepared for the mill match up at all, because I switched this deck late. I had it going through my head, the draw scenario for mill v mill, but I was just going for the mill win, completely forgetting the damage win condition entirely.
Yeah, so it's kind of helpful. Like, it's only going to be a few damage, but it kind of helps.
Yeah, it's just another sealer for the game.
Yeah.
I have to say, your game and there was another game earlier as well that was a complete roll to win at the end of the game. Just to close out that round with the extra mill I needed or claiming later. It was just ridiculous. The dice got with me.
Yeah, well, my deck felt really good against the aggro matchups or the damage matchups. Like I played another vehicles deck in round one, but that went reasonably well.
Right. Yep.
Probably my scariest matchup other than the mill was Rex Double Troopers, because he managed to get 2 early Rex's Blaster out, which sort of means he was just rolling in all 3 of his characters at once.
Ouch.
So particularly with hit and run, that sort of made it really a little bit scary.
Yeah, just keeping tempo and then just having burst.
Yeah, just having dice, lots of dice out at once.
That horrible easy pickings.
Yeah, so easy pickings in a tangle are sort of, well, particularly against Yoda, they're both pretty good.
Yeah, quite likely to have a trigger point for it, and Entangle's always going to be on.
Yeah, the thing is, like, playing 2 yellow characters that are only 1 dice each, no one ever goes after them, so it did make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, the scary thing is Rose and just the resource generation and seeing a complete board state across the table.
Yeah, well, particularly Rose with the crate speed is pretty broken.
Yeah, crate speed is just good in general, and Rose just keeps it firing.
Yeah.
I finally found my pod racer. Finally gets out onto the table.
Yeah, I guess it's either that or force meditation you're looking for turn 1.
Yeah, which is just too good. And when you naturally roll specials, it's even better.
And the discards.
Ah, there we go. Your Jedha doing some work for you again.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure here I discarded your whole hand. Sort of questionable whether I should have actually ticked up long-term plans. I want more, but it was kind of just too juicy to take the entire hand.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, the Vandalizer, which you milled off the top, was one of my late ins in the morning, which was designed specifically around the pod racer. Or as a catch-all, like for Force Illusions and stuff like that.
Yeah, just to break that board state and be in a much better position. Thankfully, Yoda's still got some focus to keep me ticking.
Yeah, that's probably the problem with the Yoda, is he's super consistent.
Yeah, there's always something useful on that die.
Yeah.
I think I had my good run of bad luck and seeing a lot of disrupt side from Yoda just prior and throughout the course of that day.
It's one of those interesting things in here where you got to just continually sort of think about how many cards you have left in your deck, and because we both milled each other's hands out here.
Both out, and just eyeballing it from memory, the decks are pretty much on par.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of the interesting things with the Rose Double Jettas is that you can keep up with one of the more faster mill decks of the format, mill for mill.
Yeah, I tried not to think about it. I just focus on the right order of things and making sure I'm getting the most out of what I've got on the board.
So I guess you're questioning there whether you actually easy pick those two dice, which I think you do.
It's too good.
I think it's just always the right call, really. If you can easy pick them, you easy pick them.
Yeah, I just constantly with the Jeddas and the indirect, because both of those guys have got the mill as well, so they're the more threatening dice, especially this late in the game. But like you say, when it's on, it's on.
Rose isn't too bad because she still has a 2 indirect side and a discard side. So basically, the only side I don't really want to see that often from her is the disrupt, but the rest of her dice sides are pretty solid. Yeah, getting rid of those hyperspace jumps are pretty good too.
Yeah, getting rid of those closers.
Yeah, the one thing I always struggled with was getting rid of the last card out of your hand.
Yeah.
Which is sort of considering whether I should actually have ticked up the long-term plans one more, but...
Well, I think you made the right calls because you've still got so many dice that give you the opportunity to strip the hand.
Yeah, well, basically every dice I have out on the table at the moment all have a discard side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen a lot of them hit on that. We've seen there we go, the deck's looking really thin.
Yeah.
But the Jeddas were pretty consistent with the indirect early on, which is exactly what you needed. It's just later on we haven't seen that discard side come up.
Yeah, it's a 1 in 6, so that's where it's a little bit difficult. That's where kind of C3PO becomes super important. If I can get him down to sort of be able to, if I roll into any 2 indirect sides, to use it as a 2 focus.
Yep. Just extreme utility.
Yeah. So I think I was contemplating whether I sort of ditch for a reroll, but I didn't think it was really worth it because I didn't need to resolve the pod racer, given how many cards you had left in your deck at the time. We were both down to our final hands.
Yep.
So it was probably questionable whether I actually should have friends in the low places there, but I thought I had to try and get rid of some removal.
It's with a full hand, it's a guaranteed removal, and you've got your pick. So
yeah, particularly getting rid of Rebel, so you couldn't hyperspace jump or
exactly
easy pickings, like a Rebel hyperspace jump, like basically with like a straight win the game.
Yep, that just closes it out. And I'm pretty sure I was running the 2 hyperspace jumps in this deck just so I've got targets for it. The Rebel was just a utility to have access to limited mitigation. Just not having the 2 easy pickings. There's another card as well. Only 1 entangle as well. So ran the budget version of it and used the Rebels to get access to them.
Yeah, were you playing Clanstone Operation?
No, dropped it. I just couldn't see the strong utility out of it compared to just having guaranteed mitigation.
An extra, yeah.
Whenever I'm doubting any changes to the deck, I'll just err on the side of mitigation and just crank it up and just leave my core of the deck to do what it does.
Yeah, I think that's sort of a common mistake of beginner players is to actually not play enough mitigation.
Yep.
But like sort of in my deck, like I was playing Into the Garbage Chute, Entangle, Easy Pickings, but sort of a lot of them are built around the more damage sort of decks, like 2 second chances, great with 2 yellow characters.
Yeah. It's never going to be dead, or very unlikely to be dead.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone goes for Rose straight away.
So at this point, I've got 4 cards left.
Yeah, and I just couldn't hit the discard side. I just hit damage. I'm like, I don't want damage.
It's not what I need right now. Well, like I said, the Jedhas were consistent.
Yeah, they were pretty good on the day, really. Particularly, they were really good against 2 character lists.
Yep.
Which I played a couple of. Played Dooku Townsend. That was a pretty tough match.
Yeah, I've got to get some Dooku on the table. Just so consistent. And then we go for game 1. Just the dice gods with me again and not seeing the mill.
I was lucky in both games though to get, because I was only playing the pod racer as a one-off.
Right.
So I was pretty lucky both games to have it, because I was playing C3PO, I think, as a 2-of, just because he had so much utility in any matchup.
Yep, for sure. But we've got the exact same board set up again from game 1. Both what we needed.
I can't remember if I might have had C3PO in my hand on that game.
Pretty sure he does get a pretty early showing in this match. And me with a handful of mitigation again.
It's kind of expected.
So you just got to stall that game out. I spent a number of nights with the fellow Jawa tech playing out this matchup and just trying to beat this deck, and I couldn't beat it. It's just so strong with its tools for the mill and just being able to stall.
Yeah, well, Yellow Hero's probably got the best mitigation, and like Pacify has no downside for mill because the 2 shields don't mean anything.
Yep, exactly.
So it kind of gets the best of everything. Force Illusions, it's got 2 second chance targets. It was really, really strong.
And this force mitigation is doing work. A force meditation, sorry.
It's kind of been overshadowed a little bit more recently with Snoke coming to prominence. But
never mind the mill apocalypse, we have the Snoke apocalypse. And an early mill of the hyperspace jump. And the Rebel, that was...
which is always good.
Way to get it back out. And there we see the Vandalize stripped. We've got to say that Jedha up the top of screen here is just consistent with his 2 indirect.
Yeah, they've got 33% chance of hitting them. It's got a really solid die and effect for an 8-point character.
So pretty good mill effort from both sides there.
Yeah, I got rid of most of your hand, which I was pretty happy with.
Long-term plan cranked up a notch. And me still without my pod racer.
Yeah, you got the forced meditation there. But the pod race is just really good at getting into the hand.
That's right.
So in the matchup, I was really only trying to play vehicles that had the discard side. And the T-47, the actual special's not too bad, particularly towards the end of the game, where I can just actually draw 2 cards up into my hand, which was always a little bit more difficult for you to get to. And there was the other hyperspace jump, so I was pretty happy about that.
Yep. Both sitting perfectly on top.
Just double checking, I'm like, yep. And the Rebel, so I was like, well, there's no hyperspace jumping.
Yep. And finally with a pod racer.
Yeah, having both the pod racer and the forced meditation down makes it kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect early start. And Annie goes to work fixing that dice.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate I didn't have easy pickings in my hand at the time.
But I did.
Yeah.
Knocking off those disrupts again. And there we see the top Jedha with the 2 indirect. Once again.
He's super consistent.
So it looks like both rally aids off the top. Or out of hand, sorry.
Yeah, which I wasn't really looking to play because they don't give me a huge amount of value in this matchup. Like I always sort of tend to have resources floating around because I'm not playing out a huge amount.
You want those couple of opportune vehicles and then just hold on to your lifeline of cards.
Yeah, looking for the pod racer, C-3PO, any other vehicle that has a discard side, and then just keep everything for rerolls as needed.
Yep.
Or to try and give me a little bit of cushion. It's like there, I probably could have taken the resource because you're always going to resolve 2 damage. Just to even try and get ahead a little bit on damage.
Yeah, Cassian with the utility for the mill as well.
But I was kind of like, I don't think I'm ever going to be short of money.
Yeah, not with this lineup, especially with Rose in there.
Unfortunately, my pod race is not quite as good as yours because I don't have Anakin.
No, free fix is always good.
Yeah.
I have to say, Force Jump was quite... Like, apart from the obvious choices, Force Jump was my MVP for the day. It just did so much work against the damage-dealing decks. It just hit that special when I needed it to just take off that the damage from the opposing side.
Particularly with Yoda to chain into it, and the fact that it doesn't get removed from your pool is really strong.
Just that reroll, and we've got shields there as well on that die. Just even if you don't hit that special, I didn't see a lot of blanks throughout the day. It was perfect.
See, this was an interesting turn where it would have been interesting if I had have ticked up the long-term plan 1 more to get it to 3.
Yeah,
I think it was potentially the right decision. It was actually quite interesting during the day how many times I actually long-term planned the disrupt.
Right.
To keep opponents off resources later in the game when they were looking like to either play removal or jump or anything like that was really quite strong.
So as a way to slow them down in their resource stacking.
Yeah. And it's something people never expect. They're like, oh, he's not going to resolve on 1 resource when I've got 3 resources, but to eat all of their resources in 1 hit.
Yeah, yep. So easy to forget long-term plan. especially the versatility of it, like you say, with the disrupt or the mill or the damage for the killing blow.
Yeah, well, there was one game, the game against Dooku Townsend. I one-shotted Dooku from 6. He had 6 health left, and I one-shot him with 1 crate speeder die. Because the opponent claimed, thinking, the maximum I could do was like 4 or 5, and then long-term plans. Yeah, long-term plan, and use the crate speeder ability to take him from 6 to 12, which kind of won the game at that point.
Who needs damage from hand? Just have it sitting there on the board, in plain view.
Yeah. It's often harder to see.
So Annie coming out with the goods with the mill side there. Cassian obviously is going to hit that quite often.
Actually, one of the interesting card that I subbed in late was Maz's Goggles, which was quite good on the day. I only played it probably 2 times, I think, but it was super effective. Either at getting money every single turn,
yep,
or the double focus was amazing.
I did have it in the deck. I don't think I actually played it at all throughout the day. It just comes back to me focusing on the core of the deck rather than trying to introduce something else to have a flavour. And I think in the latest version I put together this deck, just completely dropped it and didn't feel you really needed it.
Yeah, the only thing the Rose Jedha's deck has issues with is dice consistency, because you don't really have any fixing. So they were the choices of C3PO and the Maz Goggles, was to give me some sort of dice fixing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a 1 and a 2 focus on Maz's Goggles from memory.
Yeah, 1 focus, a 2 focus, a couple of resource sides, and the special's really good because it allows you to remove any event.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But just introducing those extra couple of focus sides, never a bad thing.
No. So I can see in the mill deck it's not that great because Yoda's pretty consistent himself, and it doesn't mill.
Yep. Wrecking hand again.
Yeah. Plus it takes 1 off the top too, which is good.
Yep.
Yeah, it was always an interesting case if the Rose Double Jazz deck had survived a little bit more as to how I could have tuned it to sort of get those last couple of cards out of hand. It would have been quite possible that I maybe have added another Maz's Fold just to give me a bit more consistency.
Maz's Goggles?
Maz's Goggles, yeah. And probably maybe another Pod Racer, and sort of still had a reasonable amount of enough damage in the deck, but could consistently go for the mill a little bit more.
So here we see C3PO hitting the table.
But probably almost a turn or two too late.
Yeah.
If it was just slightly early, it would have been a bit better. But it was interesting. I didn't win any games on the day by mill, but I was threatening it a lot, which kind of made it was almost the threat of it that was really, really good. So it made people more conservative with rerolls, so they wouldn't try and reroll for damage, which would give me more time to actually ramp out my damage.
For sure, it's just the inherent ability of those Jedhas and just stalling the game out, which, especially for a vehicles deck where you're just building board state.
Yeah, I felt like the longer the game would go, you see here, I kept rolling into damage, and you kept
MVP of the day.
I think I rolled this one out into damage.
Yep. Sadly, I didn't find Force Jump that often. I only had 1 of in the deck, but when he hit the board, it did work.
So I wonder there whether I actually would have been better off re-rolling and trying to see go for 2 focus, but at some point. But
yeah, it's those horrible calls when you're down to the wire.
Because Because I think here I had you down to like 2 or 3 cards in hand, so I was like,
Yeah, it's
pretty sure I claimed here, I think. It was interesting. It was like, do I re-roll? Hoping really just to hit discard, but
yeah, claim and reset.
yep. See, this is the turn where I would have liked to had long-term plans on 3, because then I could C-3PO focus into a discard.
Yep.
And basically hit your entire hand.
Yeah, it's pretty lucky to be able to draw up into 5.
Yeah. See here, because I got the two indirect on rows, I could use that for 2 focus, which would have been pretty good. And it's not a line of play that sort of people look at too often, is the focus.
Yeah, C-3PO is usually the obvious utility for that little bit of damage, or like you said before, the disrupt or the straight out mill.
Because I think I use it for discard there.
Yep.
So I think it probably would have been better off to use as 2 focus, and because then I could have got 3, at least 4 out.
It's that fun part of the game, that late game maths.
Yeah.
The easy pickings taking out some very attractive dice.
Yeah, well, obviously the pod race was showing basically lethal, and then you happened to roll out the discard there. I was like, because I was hoping if I had to dodge that, it would have given me 1 reroll, which wouldn't have been too bad. But that's where I think I would have been better off saving the C-3PO for 2 focus.
And I rebel into the jump for the win.
Yeah.
Thank you for a great game, and thank you for the Swiss game. It was always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. No, they were the best games of the day, those 3, so that we played across the course of the day. So
certainly a very thinking game, and just trying to work out all the possible angles, and especially with your Jedha deck threatening the damage, as well as being very consistent on the mill.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Paul. I shall see you down at Good Game Cannington on a Wednesday night very soon.
Cool. Look forward to seeing you then, Rob.
Thank you guys for watching and for listening to the Perth Jawas. We'll have some more coverage of some of the great games down in WA at our local friendly game stores. And stay tuned and see you next time.